Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Brian Altano, and this is Andrew Goldfarb.
Hey.
This is where you respond.
Oh. Hello, Brian.
Hi.
We're in this cool art loft.
We're here at New York Comic Con at this cool art loft. Today we got to check out some brand new stuff from Lego Marvel's Avengers, which is basically the all-encompassing Avengers video game in the Lego universe.
It's super interesting because it's like kind of like it's not the full MCU. It's not like every Marvel movie, but it covers the Avengers, Avengers Age of Ultron, the second Captain America movie, the second Thor movie, and Iron Man 3.
And some Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and some of the TV stuff, like Agent Carter and S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah,
it's driving a very specific line through a bunch of really cool Avengers stuff, which makes it really fascinating because you don't really get to see a lot of video games based on movies, or at least not good ones. They're usually like iPhone apps and stuff like that, match 3 puzzle games, bunch of garbage. But this is a real actual video game, and it's really cool. It
is pretty cool, and it's using, it's doing what they did with The Hobbit, where it's using the actual lines from the movie. So it's like you actually hear Chris Evans as Captain America, you actually hear Mark Ruffalo as Banner and all that stuff. Like it's super interesting to do it that way because like you kind of get these, you know, the original Lego games where they were like pantomiming through the scenes, like you get these like nice little moments that are from the movie.
Yeah.
And so we saw like a reenactment of the scene where they create the Vision in Age of Ultron. And so it's Stark and Banner having this conversation, but there's all these like weird Legoisms, like there's a pig there, and like
the pig is definitely like one of their, like the pig and the chicken, the hot dog costume. They're sort of things.
They're staples.
Yeah, they're these kind of like gag asides that they put in there. And you know, you have Tony Stark, and he's talking to the Hulk basically, and being like, hey, we got to take this thing and put it inside this. And he's like, inside this? And he points to the pig, and the pig's like, ah. And it's great to have like little jokes like that in something that's kind of predominantly seriously. Obviously, there's, you know, some comedy in the Avengers movies and in comic book movies in general, but there's a little bit more liberties that the artists can take and the designers can take in the Lego games. And I kind of really appreciate that sort of slapstick, but also the reality that there is such a great attention to detail that you know exactly what's happening, even though they're all basically animated minifigs.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. Like the gameplay is kind of like that too. Like the actual gameplay is very smart about using stuff from the movie. So to make every character feel different, like Quicksilver has. So we saw like the scene where they stopped the train in Korea. And so it's like the aftermath of that scene, and Quicksilver's running around. But when he runs, you can do like a slow-mo mode. Yeah. So like he can like weave in and out. And then Scarlet Witch is like a slower moving character, but she can like pick up like cars and has like the power to like move stuff in the environment.
Or like lift a whole bunch of characters at the same time. And and I really appreciate the way they've always used the Lego games to kind of like create puzzles and solve them with characters based on those universes. And it actually makes perfect sense with stuff like with the Avengers, because even Hawkeye can shoot an arrow that turns into this kind of pivot point that another character can spin on and jump up. I really like what they're doing with Captain America, especially. He has this kind of animation where as he's running, he switches his hand from the shield from hand to hand, depending on where the enemies are. So it kind of works as like a secret radar. We also saw a lot of cool stuff of sort of character team-up moves.
Yeah, it was really cool. Like there's like, and they based on stuff in the movie, right? Like there's that scene in Age of Ultron where like Black Widow has to ride on Hulk's back while he jumps. And so like, it's kind of like the spirit of that. So like, there's a lot of characters who, the specific Avengers will have like team-ups that like make sense for those two characters, and it's different based on who you're controlling. But then like even the generic characters, even the side characters will always be able to like do something like and interact in some way.
Yeah, and speaking of characters, we saw tons of them.
Oh my God,
like just the attention to detail for them is ridiculous, because I think like seeing how many of these characters were requested by Marvel fans and Avengers fans specifically, and then seeing how many made it in there, it didn't feel like they said no to anything.
Yeah, and not only that, but like they do these really smart things where like Stan Lee's in there, but then like much like the Hulkbuster suit in Age of Ultron, there's like a Stan Lee buster.
Oh,
and so it's
awesome.
like he's like has like a pencil and like he's inside on a typewriter with like a lamp and a cup of coffee.
It's so cool.
It's so good.
It's just like a nice little aside that they threw in there just for fun. So obviously this covers tons of levels tons of sections from the movies and the TV shows. What I really appreciate about these games is being able to play the stage and then go back in with all these characters you unlocked and 100%ing them. And there's gold bricks. There's also a lot of open world stuff. So we saw
the Barton farm.
Yeah, the farm.
Like, which is really interesting because like that's a scene. Like I remember those scenes in Age of Ultron, but it's not an environment I would have expected to visit in like a video game. It's just a big open field, and that was like where we saw a lot of the characters kind of being tested out, and it was super interesting, super smart. I love that like if you're playing as Hulk, you can shrink him down to Banner, and like the animation is just like adorable, and he just
it's actually really cool because he hulks down in certain parts. So like his left leg is last, so it's just kind of like, and then he's got this fat left leg that's like all green. He's just like oh man, and it goes away. It's great. I like
So cute.
You know, I feel like people of all ages are going to really appreciate the sort of comedy that they're putting into this game.
Totally.
So that's Lego Marvel's Avengers. We love what we saw so far. I'm a big fan of all the Lego games, so I'm really optimistic about this one.
Yeah, and it's personally, just as a Vita nerd who travels a lot, I'm excited. This is going to be, I think, the first Lego game that's open world on Vita as well, which is really, really cool. It's out in January. It's out not that far away.
In January. So we're going to be here at Comic-Con all weekend long talking about Avengers and comic books and movies and giant characters that shrink down to just one weird leg. A lot of those here. So keep it locked right here to IGN for all your cool comic book nerd stuff.